All right. So I guess I'm gonna look at the camera as much as I can. So, oh yeah, I guess I don't need music. I want to talk about to you guys about just, I guess, all these. It's good to have offense. It's good to be taken offense. It is good to have feelings of that sort with others, with friends of yours, people who you've had conflict with. But like, explore with each other why the reason is behind. I'm laughing because I'm uncomfortable, and I'm laughing because it's it is a little bit ridiculous sometimes when we don't actually truly listen to each other's point of view on whatever matter it is that, and I don't mean you need to say anything. I just mean, just when an offense has taken, tell each other that something has happened. If you need a code word with people, then go for it. But make sure that there's awareness with what it is that you're saying, and decide whether or not the person is comfortable changing what it is that they're saying, or try to do that. And if they're not, then that's okay. You have to be okay with that. If the person who you're talking to doesn't believe that your particular view on racism meets with theirs and what it is that they're saying, and the whole point of the conversation that they might have been having is sort of talking about appreciating a certain other culture. I find it really interesting when I've had a lot of very positive experiences with people of many different cultures and backgrounds, and just every single one of us individually has a specific background that we nowadays in the social media world call stories. And it's not about doing things and then showing people the things that, if you have a friend that you think might benefit from the practices that you're doing, go over there and cook some whatever the heck you're talking about food with them. If you think that they would benefit from eating better or whatever else, and you're oh, all I do is worry about them, and it's how many hours are you worrying about this person? Just find some time in all of your hours of worrying about them. Look at your schedule, look at your calendar, and book a date to just reach out to someone. If you think that I mean, I don't know, not for me, but I'm just saying for other people who might want to get into getting out of the house more and whatever. A lot of these people, I'm speaking from my perspective, but I'm also speaking about people who have had a lot of stuff happen to them, and they kind of just I just want to go to work, and I want to go not anywhere else. And that's fine too. Like, that's like, I'm like living in my work too. So it's, like you have to remind yourself to like, do different routines and whatever. And I'm like, oh yeah, I used to sit in the kitchen more. And like, I went out today, I went for a walk and whatever. And we'll get you that cat in the snow video one of these days. Yeah, I sort of had a moment with another friend who's also going through a lot, and I mean, like, raise your hand if that's not the case, because you get a gold star for being the most perfect person on earth that nothing ever bad happens to. We've all got shit going on, man, but you just keep on trucking. And when something happens, like, if it doesn't get resolved right away, that's cool. And like, if you want to play another game and like freaking my game normally was like the understanding game and the asking questions to come to an understanding, or like, wait, so like I would just want to be clear here with everyone, like, because I'm like, what the fuck am I doing wrong? Like, I was always just kind of like, whoa, what's going on? So like, wait, what do you guys think? And it's like, a lot of times people will kind of be like, well, I don't want to get involved or whatever. And I'm like, involved in what? Like, I don't even know what the fuck is going on right now. Like, I feel like some things come way out of left field because there's a lot of thinking going on with stuff. There's a lot of thinking going on with stuff. There's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of confusion. And not just let's just leave it at that. Fuck, like, that's my whole point, is you don't really have to say much. It's just like, notice that something weird happened if something weird happens, and like, if you're one of the people in the weird happening thing, I don't know, I don't care. Don't really care. People will come to you if they're gonna come to you. It's like, just don't worry about it so much, but also like, try your best to go out of your way every once in a while and like reach out to the people who you think might need some reaching out. And not just like in a negative way. I mean like, oh yeah, I'm fucking, what is Nick up to? Huh. Holy shit. But then it's like, when like other shit happens, it's like, yeah man, like, come on, like, I've seen you guys friggin' throw not just people across the room. Like, I don't think I'm the one that needs to be talked about with, like, because I talk loud sometimes, like, because I'll like vent about something and be like, ugh. I'll just be like, okay, well, it's my life now. I'm in my life now. But yeah, I mean, like, a mix of that and like meditations are cool. Like, I like the morning meditation thing. I think that I need to move it to like an evening meditation. I mean, it kind of already, I can try harder. Anyways, but I think to sort of change the subject, I mean, like, this is sort of about I'm like talking so, I'm not confident. I'm like, is it okay if but the title of the video of, hey man, if you listen to my podcasts, if you, this is what you're getting. I'm going to talk about different stuff. I'm going to circle back. I'm going to, whatever. And it's not like, I'm not telling you what to do, and I'm not whatever. I'm just letting you know what I have found that the thing that works a lot is just like, if they show you a spot, and this isn't like, I'm not like, hey, go manipulate people. I'm just saying, if you can, it's like a little bit of the human game kind of thing is like, there's like a game to it. Like, it's, if you see a little bit of vulnerability, you like might do or say something that's like, maybe somewhere else over here you'll say like, since they're really sensitive about something or other, then they'll always make sure that they make that pie or whatever, right? You're just like, you talk about something else. Or if you want to do it the other way too, then you can say like, oh yeah, like you can hold oh right, because that's the other way. That's like complimenting people on their stuff is like not always good, because then they think that they're like, you're getting something from them. They like know that all they have to do is like make that pie and you'll be happy or whatever. And it's like, no man, like you're like, oh, is that your cologne there? What does that smell? And like, you don't have to, you just kind of give just enough like suspicion with them, and then they'll be like, oh shit, he's like really particular about the way that like things smell and whatever. Maybe like we should do something to make the house smell better. Maybe the house doesn't smell good. It's like, it's good to like sort of hold a little bit over people, but then you have to kind of just like walk away. Like, you just like, just don't contact them again. Like, let them decide whether or not they want to contact you, I guess. But if everybody's doing that, like, I just don't get that. Psychology's confusing, man. I'm just fucking trying to hang out. I'm trying to hang out. I'm trying to be productive. If you got some ideas, let's hang out and be creative and productive together. But like, I don't know, none of this fucking weird shit, man. Like, we all know that there's whatever and whatever and whatever in the world. Thinking about what I said earlier with somebody, but I'm not allowed to say it on the internet because like everybody's gonna have a shitstorm, which is exactly why I should say it. It's like, I like fucking people from India, which, are we not supposed to say Indian people anymore? We're not supposed to say, like, I wouldn't be able to put up an ad that says, like, room for rent, teacher, downtown, looking to help new immigrant population, like, live in with the landlord. I don't know what the ad would say. Like, I wouldn't be like, looking for an Indian fellow. Like, I like the, if I get an Indian guy that's cool and I want to hang out with him, and, like, I'm not gonna be like, oh, I really want this awful jerk to be in my house, and I'm not gonna let this guy from Somalia in that I like, or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, there's people coming in from all over the place who live in different environments that they don't mind being kind of like stacked up on each other. Some might say that, and that's a fucking thing. That's a visual, like, yeah, I know what you mean. Like, I have friends who fucking do that because they chose to do that, and they were more likely to have chosen that because, statistically speaking, there's, like, giant amounts of people who live in, like, mega cities that are, like, way bigger than anything that any Canadian could ever imagine that hasn't been outside of the world. And I'm not pointing anything at anyone. When I'm saying this right now, I'm talking about more than one person that I have spoken to in my life, which have been many. So when I fucking say shit like this and I vent a little bit and I'm like, yeah, man, like, hey, your house is huge. Friggin', I bet you could frickin' this whole area right here, like, you could have probably like 14 of them in here. And he's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, like, I don't know, like, you know, Indian guys, you could have a whole bunch of them. It's like, oh, you're, oh. I'm like, you, or like other, yeah, yes, also other people too, who all, I think it would be a weird ad to be like, hey, I'm looking to, like, stack up people over and over. I'd rather, like, just let the place be rented to one of those people, if there's a few of them, like, if whatever the incoming place is, like, right down the road. And I had people come in here before, and I know that, like, they're like, oh, your place, yeah, because there's, like, 13 of us in our family or whatever, and it's like, oh, okay, like, that's cool. Well, like, do you guys need bunk beds and stuff, or, like, I guess I just mean, being a landlord, I'm conscious of the fact that, like, people are upset with, like, the whole, like, Airbnb thing, and, like, there's a housing crisis and whatever, and I was gonna do a basement kind of, like, hostel-ish thing, but, like, I'm just uncomfortable with people sleeping down there because I think technically, like, according to my insurance and stuff like that, like, I think it just, like, I don't think it would work, so I'm gonna use it more as, like, a studio sort of thing, and, like, people can come and meditate and whatever there, and I'll be, like, sort of display art and, you know, make, like, speakers and stuff and do whatever I want to make money, because whatever. And, like, I don't want to sink my feet too deep into all this stuff, like with... Anyways, I hate looking at myself in the freaking thingy. And also my eyes are tired. But I wanted to, like, you know, do my due diligence. Make sure that everybody was cool with there being, like, a mulligan. Which I guess I learned tonight is a wrong thing, because instead I shouldn't have continued. Like, this is just one person's opinion with it, which is fine. Like, it's like, yeah, you're right. I guess I could have just, like, I'm like, huh? What do you mean no mulligans? Like, I don't know why I said that. Like, I could have not been like, huh, what? No mulligans, but, like, I didn't, and I didn't say that, but, like, yeah, I guess I'm not gonna worry about people complaining next time, but, like, also, shouldn't people just, like, fucking... I don't know, man. I don't know. What can you do? If you're living in a democratic world and you ask everyone because you want everyone's opinions, and then nobody wants to get involved with, like, something as simple as, like, whether or not a fucking mulligan is part of a golf roll, like, we're living in a fucked up part of time right now, man. Just like, hey man, you know that a lot of us think that you weren't fucking acting very good at the party. Be like, alright, well, like, whatever, fucking... So? I feel like I'm at the point now. Because even if you... it's like, just hear people out. Hear people out. Find the root of what it is that they're talking about. It's like, it just takes so much work, and then people just end up fucking abandoning you anyways, so it's like, you guys are so particular. Like, everybody's so sensitive, like, and not even sensitive for themselves, like, sensitive on behalf of other people who aren't there, or, like, it's like, it's this whole thing where I'm not embarrassing anyone, for example, and I'm not talking about, like, when, like, if I get angry or something like that, that's a different thing, and yeah, that draws attention, but, like, it's both of our jobs to understand that, like, alright, so, like, let's both be quiet. Just fucking take some time, go give each other a hug, collect your thoughts, and figure out what exactly it is that was upsetting. Because when you fight, when you raise your voices for too long, you can't really think clearly, right? And, like, if you're lucky enough to have people who, like, want to fucking understand what the hell it is that you're talking about, normally these things can kind of, like, be done and over with pretty quickly. It's like, I hate keeping using new examples because, like, also it's sort of refreshing, I guess, because this friend probably will never watch this, so it's fine. But, like, also, if they are watching it, like, don't take offense to me using your example. Nobody's gonna know that, like, it was you that I was talking about, that, like, I was on a walk with that particular friend. And what I'm about to say is coming from a place of love. And I want all the people to know that, like, but it's also, like, it's not fucking worth doing all this work for someone if they're just gonna keep on like not thinking that you're still a good guy when new shit happens in their brain that they're like, oh, this new stuff in the news that I found out about, and now I'm looking at them in a way, and it's like, okay, well, like, so talk to me about the thing that you're whatever about, or like, just friggin' don't worry about words so much. Don't, like, I don't know what to say, man. Just be more open with each other when there's a hurt. Be like, this is why I fucking whatever, and say your piece and be like, hey man, like, I don't need to be like having people telling me like what to do and whatever else. If you want to like do something with me, or if you want to like tell me a story about your life, you don't need to tell me in a way where you're like, yeah, so when I was out of work, for example, that to me would be a point of contention if we had just had a fight, for example. I'd be like, yeah, fucking, so what? Like, I'm not working now. Me doing, like, I'm like doing multiple courses. I'm, you know what I mean? Even if I'm not like working, I'm working on myself, but I'm also a landlord, and I'm also like renovating my basement for an upcoming business. Like, that counts for me as work, and I'm also still getting by. So like, I don't need to work any more than what I'm already doing, because I am grossly productive. But I can't tell that to that person who is like bringing the topic to me. Like, it's just like, watch your tone too. Don't be holding shit over me, because if you end up saying something to me in a way that, yeah, I'm gonna be like, hey man, fucking whatever. And then if you try and interrupt me, I'm just gonna keep on talking through it. And like, that's something that you have to realize is a signal that like, you can say some more words too during that, and I'll hear you, and I'll maybe incorporate that in at some point or whatever, or I might not. I might just like hear you and I heard you. But like, I go out of my way to say things out loud and to like clarify things for people who seem like they're upset, or that they're continuing to be confused as to why it's like, we all just need to continue being aware of our own behavior. If you have a friend that's open enough to tell you the things that bother them, and not only that, want to share with you true stories as to why that is, or like why that's bothered, because you couldn't pick up on earlier when I said at your house, like, hey, sorry, I don't normally bring up work stuff because I have a lot of work trauma and stuff like that and whatever recently. So like, and like, normally I don't friggin' find what people do for a living as interesting unless they bring it up as a thing that they are interested in. And normally, if they're bringing it up, they have an interesting job that they want to talk about. Or maybe they have a friggin' seemingly boring job, like a map archivist or something. But I'm like, that's the fucking coolest thing ever. Like, tell me more about archiving. Can I like come visit sometime? Like, I would fucking love that. And like, it's okay to share stuff with people, but it's like, there's so many categories where I'm just like, I don't want to bring that up with that, like, because I don't. But what I've been doing now is, at the beginning, like, for example, with these other friends of mine, I asked about it, but then it was like, everything that they were saying was like so detailed with like the structure of like everything that I was kind of like not paying attention to all of it. I'm like, how am I supposed to, like, there's no way that I'm going to retain all of this, which is, I guess, what people on the other side of maybe like the feeling or the other side of the some spectrum, you know, they'll listen to me and be like, where's the facts? What is the reason for, like, hey man, it's a fucking long story. I told you at the beginning, if you want to hear this, I'll tell you, but like, I gotta tell you a bunch of stuff because you haven't heard a bunch of stuff revolving this story. So like, I'm cool not telling it. I'm like 100% signed up for not saying anything about this, but you were asking, so I double checked with you, and I told you that it was long because I didn't really feel like talking about it, especially not like feeling talking about it with like, I don't know, man. It's really exhausting having friends that like very much need to know in great detail, like specific things as you're like telling them all this stuff. I'm like trying to tell like one part of a story, like I told the one of the guys that is staying here. He's cool. We chat sometimes, but we chat about like lots of stuff, and we don't need to really like chat much about stuff like this. I'll chat a little bit about stuff like that. I'm like, oh yeah, like I was just like hanging out with a friend, and I was telling them about this story where like basically my my nephew took his money to his room, right? And like there was just a big to-do about it, and like it wasn't involving me, but there was like many loved ones who were hurt by what happened, and I felt like there was no like, there wasn't like reciprocation of peace. Like it wasn't like, I was like, all right, cool, but it was more so because of the fact that like a lot of stuff has happened, so it's just like, yeah, cool, another thing that like I need to know about and whatever else about, and just like, fuck, like this didn't even involve me. And then like, it's like, can't we all just like go out for fucking pizza or whatever, and like, or like do something together that isn't a failure, and like respect each other's company in a like, if you want to be ceremonious about it, like fucking, I mean, maybe that's what I should do with those things. You have to be the one to be like, all right, I guess it's my responsibility again. Like, all right, guys, well, why don't we all go have something to eat? Why don't we do that like in 2 days or whatever? Sometimes it's like time sensitive too, right? And you're just like, you just gotta fucking walk away, man. You just gotta fucking walk away. And I'm finding that the more I know other people who don't subscribe to like this Western world thing to, you really don't need to be reading the news every day. You just don't need to be doing that. Like, I mean, I was listening to the radio more. That's a good way to get news every once in a while, but like, you talk enough with people on the wherever about what's happening, it's not really anything that we have that much control over, other than like, I mean, fuck, man, if these protests, like, if we instead want to focus on, like, not just like protesting for the day and being like, oh, that was fun and da 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 da, and I'm not trying to belittle anyone. I'm literally just saying we got to do more. If we think that what we're doing is enough, it's not. And so we need to, and it's like the government's not going to solve everything, right? But like those are the people who might change policy or whatever else. And like this little girl who's giving their people at the UN shit or something, like that's fucking cool. Go little girls. Like maybe we put enough like female heroes and shit, like, so that this girl was friggin' confident enough to be like, that's enough, there's some friggin' bullshit. Or maybe like she doesn't subscribe to any of that shit, so that she is confident enough because she's got like great parents that friggin' don't put her down and like let her talk and whatever the fuck. I don't know what the fuck. I've got some repressed shit that comes out too, okay? Like, I'm not saying that all parents put down their little girls. I'm saying that I was put down as a kid because I dress however the fuck I want, and there's not a lot that people can do about it. And it's just sort of like, just chill out on your kids a little bit. Not everything needs to be a fucking rule. And I never got to hear my friend's anecdote about his being out of work anecdote. Because I was like, hey man, like, just, we're too up here right now. I can't be having all this, like, thanks for walking me home, but like, I can't be, if we're gonna be all on each other's throats for some reason, like, I can't be chatting. That's it. I think that people think that I do that though too, because I'll like interject or something, or I'll like, it's like people just don't give each other the time. And then it's like, I don't want to talk about, and like by the time that you get to whatever, it's like 10 minutes later and you don't even know what you're even talking about. Like, you're like, what is it that you don't want to talk about? Like, I don't even know what I was trying to say before you interrupted me about trying to tell me something about when you were out of work. And there's an anecdote. And I'm like, yeah, I want to hear your anecdote. Cool. I'm just finishing what I'm saying. And like, also, just since we're talking about communication feedback stuff, since like that's a topic that came up just like less than a block ago before you decided to, you just have to walk away. It's like, if they're going in this direction, you just have to silently whatever. And if they don't listen to the instruction of lower volume and whatever else, like, but why not talk about what happened? Like, why was I interrupted and then you were upset that I was interrupting you? But it's like, people get so rigid with this like rules of, it's okay to kind of talk over each other a bit. You can talk over each other. Like, think about texting. When you text back and forth and like people are talking in like a, oh yeah, blah blah blah, and it's like blah 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 blah, and it's like, as you're talking, something else comes in from the other person as you're talking, and you're like, oh yeah, fucking blah, 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 blah. that's how my communication works, at least a lot of times. But then sometimes it's like people will say, I'll be like, all right, hold on, I want to tell you a story and whatever. But then people will be like, yo, what's taking so long, or what's the point, or what's the whatever. And I'm like, if you let me finish, I'll fucking get to that. You know, when you just sit down for like 10 minutes and listen to someone, I do that for people who want to reciprocate. It's hard opening up to people about, like, not even just opening up to people about stuff. It's literally just like sometimes you just want to be like, hey man, fucking, this was cool. Florida was fun, man. Like, I want to tell you a bit about my trip. I want to tell you a little bit about Nova Scotia, maybe, if you want to hear it. But, like, kind of what I really want to do is just, like, watch Due South because it's on. Thank you for the food. I'm glad that we are healing. I'm glad that I have another friend around who is also healing, who also doesn't mind, like, meeting for small things. Now, don't get me wrong. I'll say stuff like, I don't know why people focus on A, B, and C, right? But, like, sure. But those things still need to be understood by the other person so that they understand why it is that you got upset, because you're the one that got upset. So if you don't want anyone to know why you were upset, then don't be upset. If you're unable to control your own emotions and your own actions, when I am unable to do that, I try my best to be as specific as possible now. Like, maybe I wasn't before, but I am more in tune with why I'm behaving in a certain way, because I embraced fucking this self-help change whatever. But then it's like, then there's that other totally, like, just like, not even the escape. Like, if you can make money and, like, live your life and have a nice time surrounded by, like, cool people that you like, and, like, also like to do science-y art things and, like, journey around, and people who aren't afraid of, like, using drugs responsibly. I'm not condoning all, but condoning the ones that I use. So that is the show on being offended. I'm talking on my phone. Oh. Making a video.
Oh, sorry, yo.
It's alright. Boop. Yo, it's still running.
Yeah?
I was talking about, like, how people get offended by all sorts of stuff, but then, like, don't tell you, like, you don't friggin' get both sides. Nobody ever really actually talks about what they really mean behind all that shit. And it's like, and like, why should I care? And why
they do when they drive their car or in the mirror at home.
Right.
They have mirror conversations, and then they go and, like, do what they wish they could have said to you, and then they come back and try, and then you're left with this, like, awkward mess, and you're like, what's wrong with this person?
You're like, what? Is something... did I do something? Why are you upset?
Exactly.
And then it's like, yeah. Right. I know what you mean. It's like instead of just clearing up whatever the fuck just happened, like because they decided to not control their own body and whatever else and put like some shit onto you, and you're like, what? Why am I stepping on shit right now? What?
No, I get out of like hard
It's
conversations in relationships. Like I saved this one. I just want to stop whatever's going on. Like, you know what? I think you've changed. And like really earnestly, like you have to like really like they have to believe that. You say it. Like, you've changed. And they just, I've changed? And like, how have I changed? Well, holy cow. That's
right.
like, that's going to take them a day to figure out.
Right.
It screws them up.
Yeah. Well, like, and it's like, I guess it's like, it's kind of feedback enough to get them to be like, maybe I'm like doing something that I'm
These
not
aren't concrete things.
I must be like not as nice as I used to be or something. Maybe. How did we fall in love with each other?
People are not concrete people.
Yeah.
They're not. I'm not.
I'm not.
You're not.
None of us are. And
No.
I think that if we can all understand that like together, then you can understand one another and then also continue growing in the ways that you're growing.
Yeah.
But like be able to understand the person that you want to spend your life with too, right? Maybe. I mean, I don't know anyone, like, I mean, my parents are together.
I'm like your parents. Me and Abby, we're like together.
Yeah.
And it's just the way it is. And it's just like, that's the way it is. Like, she's my wife and like our husband, and that's just like the way it is. Like, when you meet us, like, you'll see. Like,
and that's like, that to me at a certain point in a relationship where you're like serious enough that it's like, oh cool, 3 months has passed and we like still actively like try and, if you don't think that I'm actively like being loving with you, let me know about it, and I want to do at least some of the things that you want me to do. But you gotta make sure that you give me hugs and
no, just go get a Spanish girl.
Huh?
Go get a Spanish girl.
Go get a Spanish girl.
Or a girl from not Canada. A girl from the old country, and the old country could be freaking Japan, the Ukraine, Latin America. It doesn't matter. But a girl from a culture with an old country. And you're going to get a different kind of woman that comes with like a pre-built-in set of cultural like norms of marriage and like being with someone.
Right, yeah, it's like here all the like the notions of marriage are all
really,
like wishy-washy, all fucking...
We don't know what we want, they don't know what they want, I didn't know what I want, now it's like, my wife just tells me, okay, this is what we're supposed to look, okay, cool.
yeah,
this is what we're supposed to look like, okay. Yeah. And you have your parents, though. So if you want to model yourself after them, do that, and if you don't, then what are you going to model yourself after? Yeah, go get a Ukrainian girl. Go get an Italian girl. Go back to like...
I try my best to model myself.
Where's your last name from?
And whatever, but like
you can get a DNA test.
I have a temper sometimes, man.
Yeah, man, that's why you got to go back to Italy. Because you're freaking... They'll be used to it. Because you're from Italy. You guys are crazy. You'll murder them. You know? And that you'll understand.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. I love you, Joe. You murdered my brother. You know?
It's what I've been running away from my whole life.
Sometimes. We've been telling them
hey,
for
it's
years.
no problem.
For years. Come on, we gotta go to Joey's funeral. Wear something nice.
Fuck you, Dad. Don't tell me what to fucking wear.
But do that. We'll get a DNA test. And freaking, like, follow your DNA. Because you're pretty Italian, right? Like your mom and dad. Oh, shit. Oh, yeah, you could, like, nail that down. I know. I know within, like a 40-mile chunk of Ireland where, like, my grandpa's family came from in Ireland.
Right.
You can figure it out because it's the highest concentration of your DNA.
Right.
and go back and marry like your cousin. Which is not really your cousin. Maybe in a genetic loop she is somehow.
Yeah, I guess I've only most of it's like the British Isles. That's for some reason what happens.
Go to Copan.
Maybe I have a problem.
Go to Copan. Go teach in Copan. Go look up Google something. Or you're taping?
Yeah, I guess so.
Hold on.
Yeah, but I still feel like I need to set up something downstairs for whatever, but
Oh man, go teach at my
Get-
10. I'd love you at my 10. You'd love my 10.
where's my 10?
It's in my town.
Mm.
It's in my 10 bilingual school and foundation. It's awesome. You teach all these kids. And fucking sponsors, dude, but you can go teach.
Mm.
Let's see, where's the kids? The teachers. Where's a white girl? She's a teacher. And you teach just basically all the rich kids, kinda. And there's like I think 30% are sponsored. And yeah, they pay you $800 a month. And fucking they give you a place to live. And you just freaking walk through the town of Copan like all the time. Do you know what the walking through the town of Copan looks like? It's magical, dude.
Yeah, I saw those like
I don't think I showed you
a couple pictures of.
Not the ruins.
Oh, the ruins. Oh no,
Well, you never saw the
Nope.
ruins? Not the ruins. You can see the ruins once every time. The town's the best. Look, man.
Oh, cool.
I live like freaking up there. Hey, there's Molly's Pizza. That's where I spent my honeymoon. I think that's where. Yeah, that's where. Another time. Yeah, man. It's Camino Maya. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's the place. And the people, the girls are nuts. They're awesome. Everyone's awesome. There's like a bunch of German people went there like 100
It'll
years
be
ago.
probably pretty safe when
It's a
shit
safe
hits
town.
the fan.
Oh, it's a very safe town. We're only 5 kilometers from the Guatemalan border.
Yeah.
So if shit pops off in Honduras, hop into Guatemala. And you fucking straight to the airport you go. It's good. And there's secret routes out of Honduras all over the place. It's good. And nobody comes there because it's guarded by like it's a UNESCO heritage site. Ex-presidents live there, and like some of the richest people in Honduras live there.
Right.
It's very well protected, and it's like geographically isolated from like all of Central America, basically.
I was more talking about like the iceberg and like the ice melting and shit and
so
possible fucking ice age and
Yeah,
all that crazy
well,
shit.
maybe
It's
a
like
volcano.
Yeah, you guys are in the middle and you'd be alright.
That's how I felt in Alberta. I felt in Alberta, like way up there. We're just gonna watch it all burn.
yeah, exactly.
Because nobody's gonna bomb us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The Soviets are gonna be like, don't
Yeah.
waste one on Edmonton.
Yeah, it's like when 9/11 happened or whatever, I was like, well, I'm glad that we don't live in Toronto. Like,
Yeah,
I was
you're
just like, there was just like shit like that. I'm like, I don't think that any plane's gonna run. And then they ran into like the pyramid, the Pentagon.
Yeah.
And or whatever, and I was like, oh shit, yeah, okay, yeah, they know what they're doing. It wasn't just sort of like, oh fuck, I hit a building, like because like the original thing or whatever. Like I was like, I don't know, I was in grade 10 or something, and I was walking out of my like religion class, and you know what I mean.
Oh, you went to Catholic school. Hmm? You had religion class? I never had a religion class. I had sex ed.
You guys learned about sex?
It's like grade 5, man. We had like a big masturbation talk in grade 5. I remember in grade 5, the teacher just let us go buck for 15 minutes with sex metaphors. Like going in the slot. Like, just anything going in holes. Anything going in holes.
Just to, like, get out all the willies.
She was like, what else you got? What else you got? I'm like, this is awesome. I remember the kid, the fat kid,
Yeah,
that
totally.
brought the suitcase and wore a suit to class. He had the best. He had the best metaphors. He was a weirdo. He was awesome as my friend. I think it was Cooper or something. There's another Cooper. Mike Cooper.
I know, right? It's so hard to freaking remember. All I remember about, like, I think that my Spanish teacher taught us sex ed, and I
That's awesome.
climbed out the window of, like, my Spanish class before, just, like, for jokes, because she wasn't letting anybody out that particular door. So I was like, well, I'm just gonna climb out this window. And then, I came into the class through the door and went to my seat without her noticing, and everybody, like, was having a fucking...
Blew their mind.
Yeah.
You're another ninja. Okay, I gotta go to bed. I didn't know it was like midnight, man.
Yeah, that was bedtime.
It is. Well, not for me.
Alright, good night, man.
There was a fucking meme today, and it was, you watch It's Always Sunny?
Yeah.
Okay, so Charlie and Mac, and then...
Oh, I haven't seen, like,
Okay,
they've
so
got
you know the
new
two?
stuff, right?
Oh, yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
the two,
Yeah.
it's Mac, he's all clean cut, and then it's Charlie in the bottom one, like this, and it's like, when your roommate that works at 6 a.m. sees you and you're going to bed at 6 a.m. after playing video games all night, and it's that moment of eye contact. It was funny. Don't worry. I've been that guy. I was at my, before I came over here, I was, for like 4 months, I was at my friend's house. I was like, hey man, I'm flying in Edmonton. Can I stay at your place for like a bit? He's like, what's a bit? I'm like, until I get a job. And he's like, I gotta ask my wife. I'm like, 90 days tops, I said. I was there for 4 months. I was there for 120 days.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I could have got jobs. There was jobs, but they were like $18
But,
an
like,
hour
that's
jobs.
good, though, man. Like,
I was
I
trying
think
to get
it's
a
important
good
to be,
job.
like, upfront with people, too. Like, when
we're
they're being like, hey, well, like, I have to ask whatever. It's like, that's a good tactic, because I think that, like, sometimes I'm too confused about, I didn't know that, like, that question was coming. I'll be like, I don't fucking, like, do you not want to hang out a bit or something? Like,
I had like 3 guys.
I thought that
I had like